Your brain is being hijacked every 3 seconds. Right now, as you're watching this, your phone is buzzing, notifications are pinging, and your mind is already planning what to do after this video ends. This isn't your fault. You're living in the most distracted era in human history, where the average person checks their phone 96 times a day and can't focus on a single task for more than 11 minutes. But here's what nobody tells you. 2,000 years ago, Roman emperors and medieval monks faced the exact same problem. Their minds wandered, they struggled with temptation, and they battled constant mental chaos. The difference is, they figured out how to win. Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts while managing an empire and fighting wars. Benedictine monks maintained laser focus while copying manuscripts for 12 hours straight. They didn't have fancy apps or productivity hacks. They had something better. Ancient systems that actually rewired their brains for deep concentration. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it, and how you can use their forgotten techniques to reclaim your focus in a world designed to steal it. These methods changed empires and built civilizations. They'll change your life too. Part 1. The Emperor's Mind Palace Technique. Picture this. You're Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, and your mind is chaos. Senators are arguing, barbarians are invading, and your thoughts are scattered like leaves in a storm. Yet somehow this Roman emperor became history's most focused leader. How did he do it when you can't even focus on one email without checking your phone? The secret lies in something he called mental architecture. But here's the twist that changes everything. Marcus didn't try to control his thoughts. He built them a house. Your brain right now is like a crowded marketplace. Every thought, worry, and distraction is shouting for attention at the same time. No wonder you can't focus. But what if I told you there's a way to organize your mind, like a perfectly designed building? What if every thought had its own room, its own purpose, its own place? This isn't some new age nonsense. This is battlefield-tested mental engineering that ran an empire. Marcus Aurelius discovered that your mind works best when it thinks in spaces, not streams. He created what I call the Emperor's Mind Palace. But unlike memory palaces that store information, this palace controls attention, and here's the part that will blow your mind. Modern neuroscience proves that spatial thinking activates your brain's most powerful focus networks. When you think in rooms instead of thoughts, your attention becomes unbreakable. So, here's technique number 1 out of 8 that will transform your focus forever. The 3-room system. First, you build an observation room in your mind. This is where every thought, feeling, and distraction must report first. Nothing enters your consciousness without passing through this room. You become the bouncer of your own mind. Second, you create a decision room. This is where you examine each thought and decide its fate. Keep it, transform it, or dismiss it. No thought leaves this room without a clear verdict. Third, you construct an action room. This is where approved thoughts become behaviors. Only thoughts that survive the first 2 rooms get to influence what you actually do. Here's why this works when everything else fails. Your brain has a spatial processing system that's millions of years old. It's the same system that helped your ancestors navigate dangerous territories and remember safe paths home. When you give your thoughts physical locations in your mind, you tap into this ancient navigation network. Suddenly, managing your attention becomes as natural as walking through your own house. The magic happens when you start practicing. Close your eyes and build these 3 rooms right now. Make them vivid, detailed, real. Give each room its own color, its own feeling, its own purpose. When a distraction comes, don't fight it. Guide it to the observation room. Examine it in the decision room. Act on it only if it reaches the action room. Within days, your mind will become an organized palace instead of a chaotic marketplace. This is how emperors think, and now you know their secret. Part 2. The monastic hour blocks. There's something medieval monks knew about time that every productivity guru gets wrong. These men achieved levels of focus that seem impossible today. They copied manuscripts for 12 straight hours without losing concentration. They memorized entire books of scripture without effort. They maintained laser-sharp attention while the rest of the world descended into chaos. But here's what nobody tells you about their success. They didn't work harder. They worked in harmony with their brain's natural rhythm. Your brain has a hidden timer that most people never discover. Every 90 minutes, your focus naturally peaks and crashes like ocean waves. You felt this rhythm without knowing it. That mid-morning slump, the afternoon fog, the evening clarity, these aren't random. They're your brain's ancient timing system trying to guide you. But instead of following this rhythm, you fight it. You drink coffee when you should rest. You push through when you should pause. You wonder why focus feels like swimming upstream. Medieval monasteries discovered something revolutionary. They called it the prayer hourglass, but it was really the world's first productivity system. These monks didn't divide their day into hours or minutes. They divided it into natural energy cycles. 90 minutes of deep focus, followed by 20 minutes of complete rest. No exceptions, no negotiations, no override buttons. And here's the part that will change how you work forever. They only did 3 types of activities per day. Not 30 tasks, not 300 emails. 3 categories of work, matched to their brain's 3 energy states. But there's a deeper secret hidden in their schedule. The monks understood that your mind has limited switching power. Every time you jump between different types of work, you burn mental fuel. It's like revving a car engine at every red light. By the end of the day, you're exhausted, not from hard work, but from constant gear shifting. The monasteries eliminated this energy drain with surgical precision. Here's technique number 2 out of 8, the monastic hour block system. First, identify your 3 core work types. Creative work that requires inspiration, analytical work that demands logic, maintenance work that needs consistency. Never mix these categories in the same block. Second, assign each work type to your optimal energy state. Creative work goes in your morning peak. Analytical work fills your midday plateau. Maintenance work handles your evening fade. Third, honor the 90-minute rule without compromise. When the timer ends, you stop. Even if you're in flow, even if you're almost finished, even if stopping feels wrong. This system works because it aligns with your circadian rhythm, your ultradian cycles, and your cognitive resources all at once. You're not fighting your biology anymore, you're dancing with it. Modern research confirms what monks discovered through centuries of practice. The human brain can only sustain peak focus for 90 minutes before needing recovery. Push beyond this limit, and your attention crumbles for hours. Here's how to build your monastic schedule starting tomorrow. Wake up and immediately enter your first 90-minute block. No email, no news, no distractions. Just your most important creative work while your mind is fresh. After 90 minutes, take 20 minutes of complete rest. Walk, meditate, stare at the wall. Don't stimulate your brain. Then enter your second block for analytical work. Your mind is now primed for logic and problem solving. Rest again, then finish with maintenance work as your energy naturally fades. 3 blocks, 3 work types, natural rhythm restored. This is how monks built civilizations while the world burned around them. Part 3. The Stoic attention anchor. Ancient philosophers had a problem that sounds familiar. They lived in busy cities filled with merchants shouting, politicians arguing, and crowds pushing. Sound like your average day? But here's what's incredible. These thinkers developed unshakable focus in the middle of chaos. They called it prosoche, which means continuous attention to the present moment. But this wasn't meditation as you know it. This was mental training so intense it turned philosophers into attention athletes. Your mind right now is like a wild horse. It runs wherever it wants, whenever it wants. You think you're in control, but watch what happens when you try to focus on one thing for just 5 minutes. Your thoughts gallop toward your phone, your worries, your plans, your problems. The horse is riding you, not the other way around. But Stoic philosophers discovered how to become the rider, not the passenger, of their own minds. Here's something that will change everything you think about focus. The problem isn't that your mind wanders. The problem is that you don't notice when it wanders. Most people live their entire lives on mental autopilot. Their attention jumps from thought to thought like a monkey swinging through trees. They never catch themselves in the act of losing focus. They only notice after they've been distracted for minutes or hours. This delay is what kills your productivity. the Stoics created what I call the philosophical sentinel. This is a part of your mind that stands guard over your attention like a watchman on a tower. Its only job is to notice when your focus drifts and sound the alarm. But here's the twist that makes this technique revolutionary. The sentinel doesn't fight distractions, it simply witnesses them. This witnessing creates a gap between stimulus and response, between distraction and reaction. In that gap lies your power to choose. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this practice in his personal journal. He trained his mind to question every single thought that entered his consciousness, not to judge thoughts as good or bad, but to examine them like a scientist studying specimens. Where did this thought come from? What is it trying to make me do? Do I choose to follow it or let it pass? This constant questioning created an undistractable mind. Here's technique number 3 out of 8, the Stoic attention anchor. First, install your philosophical sentinel. This is a background awareness that constantly monitors your focus, like having a security camera in your mind that never sleeps. Start by checking your attention every few minutes. Where is your focus right now? On the task, on a distraction, or lost in thought? Don't judge, just notice. Second, question every thought that captures your attention. Ask yourself 3 questions. What is this thought asking me to do? Will following this thought serve my current goal? Do I choose to engage with this thought or let it pass? Third, return to your chosen focus without drama or self-criticism. Attention wandering is normal. The power lies in the return, not in perfect focus. This technique works because it transforms you from a victim of your thoughts into the director of your mental movie. Instead of being dragged around by every impulse and distraction, you become the conscious chooser of where your attention goes. Your mind becomes like a well-trained dog that comes when called, instead of a wild animal that runs wherever it pleases. Practice this starting right now. Set a timer for 2 minutes and focus on your breathing. When your mind wanders, don't get frustrated. Simply notice the wandering, question the distracting thought, and gently return to your breath. Do this every day, and within weeks, you'll have an attention anchor that keeps you steady in any storm of distraction. Part 4. The Desert Fathers' Temptation Protocol. In the 4th century, Christian hermits retreated to the Egyptian desert, seeking perfect focus through isolation. No phones, no internet, no human contact for months at a time. You'd think this would create ideal conditions for concentration. But here's what shocked these desert fathers. Their minds became more chaotic, not less. Alone with their thoughts, they faced waves of mental temptation more intense than anything they'd experienced in civilization. Yet they developed a technique so powerful it could tame the wildest mind. Your brain has an ancient survival system that turns every suppressed thought into an obsession. Try not to think about a pink elephant right now. What happened? The elephant immediately appeared in your mind, probably larger and pinker than before. This is called the ironic process theory. The harder you try to avoid a thought, the more your brain focuses on it. Most people exhaust themselves fighting their distractions instead of learning to dance with them. The Desert Fathers discovered something revolutionary about mental urges. Every distraction, every craving, every wandering thought carries energy. Most people try to build walls to keep this energy out, but walls require constant maintenance and eventually crumble under pressure. The hermits learned to redirect this energy instead of blocking it. They turned distractions into fuel for focus rather than obstacles to overcome. Here's the part that changes everything. Your brain doesn't distinguish between fighting an external enemy and fighting an internal distraction. Both activate your stress response, flood your system with cortisol, and exhaust your mental resources. When you battle your wandering mind, you're literally poisoning your ability to concentrate. The Desert Fathers realized that resistance creates persistence. Whatever you fight grows stronger, but they discovered a counterintuitive approach that modern neuroscience now validates. Instead of suppressing distracting thoughts, they acknowledged them fully, then redirected their energy toward their chosen focus. This isn't positive thinking or wishful meditation. This is practical mental engineering that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Here's technique number 4 out of 8. The Desert Fathers' Temptation Protocol. First, acknowledge every distraction without judgment. When your mind wanders to social media, don't scold yourself. Simply say, I notice I'm thinking about checking my phone. This acknowledgement removes the thought's power to control you unconsciously. Second, thank the distraction for its message. Your wandering mind is usually trying to protect you from boredom, discomfort, or uncertainty. Say, thank you for trying to help me avoid this difficult task. This stops the internal war between different parts of your mind. Third, redirect the energy behind the distraction toward your chosen focus. Ask yourself, how can I use this restless energy to dive deeper into my work? Transform the urge to escape into curiosity about your current task. This protocol works because it aligns all parts of your mind toward the same goal instead of splitting your mental energy between focus and resistance. When you stop fighting your distractions, you reclaim the enormous amount of energy you were wasting on internal conflict. That energy becomes fuel for deeper concentration. The Desert Fathers proved this technique works under the most extreme conditions imaginable. If it can create focus in complete isolation with nothing but sand and sky, imagine what it can do in your daily life. They turned the desert of distraction into an oasis of attention. Starting today, every time your mind wanders, remember their protocol. Acknowledge, thank, redirect. Watch how your biggest distractions become your strongest allies in the quest for unbreakable focus. Part 5. The Roman Generals' Decision Matrix. Roman generals faced something that would paralyze most modern leaders: life or death decisions with incomplete information, enemy armies approaching, and the fate of empires hanging in the balance. One wrong choice could doom thousands of soldiers and destroy entire civilizations. Yet these commanders made decisive choices in minutes, while you probably spent more time choosing what to watch on Netflix last night. How did they cut through mental fog when the stakes were ultimate? Your modern brain faces a problem Roman generals never had: decision fatigue. You make an estimated 35,000 decisions per day, from what to wear to what to eat to which email to answer first. Each decision burns mental glucose, the same fuel your brain needs for focus. By noon, your decision-making capacity is running on empty. By evening, you're mentally exhausted, not from hard work, but from endless tiny choices that drain your cognitive battery. But Roman military commanders discovered something that changes everything about how you should approach decisions. Most choices don't deserve deep thinking. They identified 3 categories of decisions that require 3 completely different approaches: routine decisions that should be automated, tactical decisions that deserve careful analysis, strategic decisions that demand your full mental power. The generals never wasted strategic thinking on routine problems or routine thinking on strategic challenges. Here's what will revolutionize your daily productivity. Every moment you spend deciding what to have for breakfast is mental energy stolen from your most important work. Every minute debating which route to take to work is focus power diverted from your biggest goals. Roman generals understood that attention is your most precious resource. They protected it like gold. The secret weapon they used was what I call the Roman decision matrix. Before making any choice, they asked 3 questions that eliminated 90% of their mental deliberation. These questions were so effective that generals could command armies while maintaining crystal clear focus on the battlefield. They never suffered from analysis paralysis because they never analyzed decisions that didn't deserve analysis. Here's technique number 5 out of 8. The Roman general's decision matrix. Every time you face a choice, ask these 3 questions in order. First, will this decision matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, make the choice in under 30 seconds and move on. Don't waste strategic thinking on tactical problems. Second, can this decision be easily reversed? If yes, pick the option that gets you moving fastest. Generals knew that good decisions executed quickly beat perfect decisions executed slowly. Third, do I have enough information to decide now? If no, gather only the minimum information needed, then choose. Perfect information is a luxury that paralyzes armies and ruins focus. This matrix works because it matches your mental energy to the decision's actual importance. You stop burning premium cognitive fuel on routine choices. You reserve your best thinking for choices that truly shape your future. Roman generals used this system to conquer the known world while maintaining laser focus under extreme pressure. Starting tomorrow, apply the Roman decision matrix to every choice you face. What to wear? Doesn't matter in 5 years. Easily reversible. Enough information now. Decide in 10 seconds. Which career path to pursue? Matters in 5 years. Not easily reversible. Might need more information. This deserves your full attention. You'll be amazed how much mental energy you reclaim when you stop overthinking decisions that don't deserve deep thought. This is how generals think, and it's how focused people protect their most precious resource, their attention. Part 6. The Monastery's Digital Detox Blueprint. Medieval monasteries were the world's first information warfare laboratories. Monks battled something that sounds remarkably modern: information overload. They lived surrounded by books, manuscripts, letters from the outside world, and endless requests for their attention. Every monk struggled with what they called custody of the eyes, the challenge of controlling what information entered their minds. Sound familiar? But these medieval communities developed boundaries so effective they maintained perfect focus for centuries. Your ancestors dealt with maybe a dozen pieces of new information per day. You're processing thousands. No wonder your attention feels scattered. You're trying to run modern software on ancient hardware, and your system is crashing. But here's what monasteries understood that we've forgotten. Information isn't neutral. Every piece of data you consume either feeds your focus or starves it. Every notification, every headline, every random fact either strengthens your ability to concentrate or weakens it. Monks treated information like food for the mind. They had strict diets, specific meal times, and carefully curated nutrition. They never snacked on mental junk food throughout the day. The breakthrough came when monasteries realized that timing matters more than content. They discovered that your brain has natural windows for receiving new information, and natural periods that require information fasting. Just like your body needs time to digest food, your mind needs time to process information. Feed it constantly, and it becomes bloated and sluggish. Give it proper rest, and it becomes sharp and focused. Medieval communities created what they called sacred boundaries around different types of mental activity. Prayer time was for spiritual focus. Study time was for learning. Work time was for practical tasks. Recreation time was for community. They never mixed these categories because mixing destroys depth. When you check email during creative work, you're violating sacred boundaries that protect your cognitive resources. Here's technique number 6 out of 8. The monastery's digital detox blueprint. First, create information meal times instead of constant snacking. Designate 3 specific times per day when you consume news, social media, and non-essential information. Outside these windows, your mind fasts from external input. Second, practice custody of the eyes in your digital environment. Before opening any app, ask yourself, will this information serve my current focus or scatter it? If it scatters, close the app immediately. Third, establish monastic cells in your physical space. These are areas completely free from digital stimulation, where your brain can rest and restore its natural attention capacity. This blueprint works because it gives your mind the same rhythm that created the greatest focused thinkers in history. Monasteries produced scholars who memorized libraries, artists who created masterpieces, and thinkers who shaped civilization. They didn't have better brains than you. They had better information boundaries. Here's how to implement this starting today. Choose 3 times when you'll check messages and consume information. Morning. Watch how your attention transforms when you stop feeding it junk information all day long. The monastery's ancient wisdom becomes your modern superpower. Part 7. The Philosopher's Focus. Recovery Protocol. Seneca faced a crisis that would destroy most people's ability to concentrate forever. Nero, the mad emperor, had banished him from Rome, seized his wealth, and threatened his life. Everything he'd built was gone. His daily routine was shattered. His familiar environment was stripped away. Yet within months, this Stoic philosopher not only recovered his focus, but achieved levels of concentration that produced some of history's greatest philosophical writings. How did he rebuild his attention from complete devastation? Your focus gets disrupted every single day. A major project gets cancelled. Your routine gets interrupted. Technology breaks down. Relationships change. Life throws chaos at your carefully constructed systems. Most people never recover fully from these disruptions. They spend weeks or months struggling to rebuild their concentration, and many never get back to their peak focus levels. But Seneca discovered something that changes everything about focus recovery. Here's the secret that will revolutionize how you handle disruption. Most people treat lost focus like a medical emergency. They panic, they push harder, they try to force their attention back to normal. This approach fails because it treats focus like a fragile thing that breaks easily. But Stoics understood that attention is more like a muscle that grows stronger when challenged correctly. Disruption doesn't destroy your focus. It reveals where your focus was weak and gives you a chance to build it stronger. Seneca developed what I call the return ritual. This wasn't about getting back to where you were before the disruption. This was about using the disruption as fuel to build better focus than you ever had before. He treated every setback as attention training in disguise. The bigger the disruption, the stronger his focus became afterward. This is why Stoics seemed unshakable. They'd learned to transform obstacles into stepping stones. But here's the part that changes everything. Seneca discovered that disrupted focus, when handled correctly, develops capabilities that undisturbed focus never can. When your normal routine gets shattered, your brain is forced to build new neural pathways for attention. These new pathways are often more robust and flexible than your original focus patterns. Disruption isn't the enemy of focus. It's focus training in its most powerful form. The key insight is this: your brain treats every recovery from distraction as a strengthening exercise. Just like lifting weights builds muscle by creating controlled damage that heals stronger, recovering focus builds attention by creating controlled disruption that heals deeper. Seneca turned his exile into the most productive period of his life because he understood this principle. Here's technique number 7 out of 8. The Philosopher's Focus Recovery Protocol. First, when disruption hits, resist the urge to panic or push harder. Instead, pause and ask, what is this disruption trying to teach my attention? Every setback contains a lesson about where your focus was vulnerable. Second, design a return ritual that's stronger than your original routine. Don't just rebuild what was broken, build something better. Use the disruption as information about what your focus system was missing. Third, treat the recovery process as training, not punishment. Each day you rebuild your attention is like a workout that makes your focus stronger than before. This protocol works because it aligns with how your brain naturally develops resilience. Neuroscience shows that recovering from controlled challenges builds stronger neural networks than avoiding challenges altogether. Stoics discovered this principle 2,000 years before brain scanners proved it true. Starting today, when your focus gets disrupted, remember Seneca's approach. Don't mourn the lost concentration. Celebrate the opportunity to build stronger attention. Every recovery makes you more unshakable. Every return ritual makes you more resilient. This is how philosophers turn chaos into clarity and obstacles into advantages. Part 8. The Integration Challenge. You now possess 8 techniques that built empires, created masterpieces, and shaped civilizations. But here's the brutal truth that separates those who transform their lives from those who collect interesting information. Knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. The ancient masters didn't become legends by learning techniques. They became legends by living them until those techniques became as natural as breathing. Your brain right now is facing a choice that will determine whether this video changes your life or becomes another forgotten YouTube watch. You can close this video, feel inspired for a few hours, then drift back to your old patterns of distraction. Or you can commit to the path that every focused master in history has walked, the Integration Challenge. This isn't about perfection. This is about progression. This isn't about overnight transformation. This is about daily evolution. Here's what the monasteries understood about mastery that modern culture has forgotten. Real change happens through consistent practice, not intense bursts of motivation. They didn't try to implement every technique at once. They mastered one practice deeply before adding another. They built their focus system like architects build cathedrals, one stone at a time, with patience, precision, and unwavering commitment to the final vision. The ancient progression system worked like this. Week 1. Master the emperor's mind palace until thinking in 3 rooms becomes automatic. Week 2. Add the monastic hour blocks while maintaining your mental architecture. Week 3. Install the Stoic attention anchor while preserving your previous gains. Each technique builds on the last, creating a focus system more powerful than the sum of its parts. But here's the secret that makes these ancient methods work when everything else fails. They were designed by people who faced real consequences for losing focus. Emperors who lost battles, monks who lost their spiritual connection, philosophers who lost their way in life. These weren't productivity hacks created by people with comfortable lives. These were survival tools forged by masters who needed unbreakable focus to navigate impossible challenges. The modern world offers you a choice that ancient masters never had. You can live with scattered attention and still survive. You can check your phone every few minutes and still pay your bills. You can drift through life on autopilot and still get by. But getting by isn't mastery. Survival isn't excellence, and comfortable isn't legendary. Here's your integration challenge. Technique number 8 out of 8. Choose one technique from this video that resonated most strongly with you. Not all 8, just one. Commit to practicing that one technique every day for the next 7 days. Set a specific time, create a specific ritual, track your specific progress. After 7 days of consistent practice, add the second technique that called to you. Continue this pattern until all 8 techniques become natural parts of your focus system. The transformation timeline is this. Week 1, you'll notice small improvements in your ability to concentrate. Week 2, people around you will start noticing changes in your productivity and presence. Week 4, you'll realize your old patterns of distraction feel foreign and uncomfortable. Week 8, you'll possess focus capabilities that put you in the top 1% of performers in any field. Week 12, your attention will become your greatest competitive advantage and your most valuable asset. These methods work because they're based on principles that don't change: the structure of the human brain, the nature of attention, and the requirements of mastery. Technology changes, culture shifts, but the fundamentals of focus remain constant. The techniques that worked for Marcus Aurelius will work for you. The methods that served medieval monks will serve you. The protocols that guided ancient philosophers will guide you. Your focus transformation starts the moment you close this video and implement your first technique. The ancients solved the distraction problem thousands of years ago. Now you have their solutions. The only question remaining is, will you use them? The journey we've taken together through 2 millennia of focus mastery brings us to this moment of choice. You've discovered the mental architecture of Roman emperors, the time mastery of medieval monks, the attention training of Stoic philosophers, and the distraction protocols of desert hermits. These aren't just historical curiosities. They're your inheritance from the greatest focused minds in human history. But knowledge is only potential power. Implementation is where potential becomes reality. The techniques you've learned today have survived wars, plagues, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the endless march of technological change. They've survived because they work. They work because they're based on the unchanging nature of the human mind and the timeless principles of attention mastery. Your scattered focus isn't a personal failing. It's a natural response to an unnatural environment. You're not broken. You're just using ancient hardware to navigate a modern world. But now you have the user manual. You have the techniques that turned ordinary people into extraordinary masters of their own minds. The ancients faced the same battle you face today, the war for control of their attention in a world full of distractions. They won that war, not through willpower or motivation, but through proven systems and daily practice. They left you a roadmap to victory. The only question now is whether you'll follow it. Your transformation starts with your next choice. Close this video and check your phone, or close this video and begin your first technique. Return to the chaos of scattered attention or step into the clarity of focused mastery. The ancients have shown you the way. Now it's time to walk the path they've prepared for you. Your focused future is waiting.